As always, without spoilers, I'm going to do my best to explain why I think people are going to absolutely love this episode. So, let's talk about the third episode of Marvel's Moon Knight. So I think it's pretty safe to say when we look back at the second episode that most people enjoyed that one more than the first. The first episode had some of that pilot syndrome, and it was a little bit all over the place. While still being good, it wasn't as good as the second episode. The second one, of course, introduced us to Mr. Knight, and it furthers the story in a brand new direction and leaves us off in an interesting place for Steven and Mark, and of course where the story's going to take us. Now this is where I got to take you, the obligatory plug for the third episode in the audio commentary. You guys seem to be loving episode 1 and 2 because Mitch and I just cannot stop talking about everything. Since you guys love how much I love history and I try to provide more context, I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Hopefully we see you guys there for the third episode. Okay, now that that is out of the way, so this episode is a little bit more, I don't want to say full-on Indiana Jones, but it has that vibe. It has the vibe of your Indiana Jones, of your Uncharted, of your Tomb Raider of sorts, right? I think you know what I'm saying there without fully spoiling what they're going for here. And the way that they push the story forward, the way that they show us a new corner of the world, and the way it connects to this new character, I think is going to really have people invested into Moon Knight on a new level that I don't think we've seen in the MCU before. Because again, this is so far out of the realm of what they've done so far with the MCU. And that's one of the strengths of this episode. It does a lot of things that you don't necessarily see in other Marvel Studios projects. I'm just going to put it that way. I will also say another thing I appreciate about this, even though it's about the same length as the other episodes, it feels like you have a little bit more time with these characters. Even though, again, it's the same amount of time, it feels like there's a good amount of slowdown while also delivering the action, which again is a fine balance in this episode. And I can now start to really understand why critics were given the first 4, because once you see how these episodes are connecting and where the series is taking you, it's truly unique and new for the MCU. Overall, again, this episode, like previous ones, has a few of those little dodgy CG moments, but we've talked about those. Again, they don't really take away from anything. They just kind of stick out in a otherwise top-tier production. And that's kind of the thing here. But overall, I loved it. I cannot wait for more. I have a feeling that if they stick this landing, this might end up being people's favorite MCU series. This episode just further pushes this thing in a whole new direction.